You said you did the 10-day silent retreat, the Vipassana. Like, is that something you feel everyone should experience, or is that maybe too much for some to get into?
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you, I know 10 days and not being
Was
connected
it tough for you to start? Because I've heard the first few days may be somewhat
yeah,
like fasting. The first few days may be difficult, but then your body adjusts and you feel somewhat lighter and,
right,
and it
right,
improves over time, actually. Is it the same
right.
thing
No,
here?
yeah, absolutely. The first 2 days, people drop out, you're in pain, you've never sat so many hours. Um, you got to sit on the floor, your back hurts, you're trying to figure out why you're there, why you did this. But I can promise that at least for me, on the fourth and fifth day, it was just this overwhelming bliss and peace. And I could have stayed another 10 days, after your seventh and eighth day, you're like, oh, I see how, Buddhist monks do this for the entire lifetimes,
Hmm.
or people. So it's highly recommended. Now there's others, not 10 days, there's 3, 4 days. But Vipassana,
Hmm.
is 10 days. That's the most kind of strict, technique. And it's worth it. It's an investment in time, but it's well worth it.
Is this something you do on a regular yearly basis or so?
So I haven't been in a while. I highly encourage those, and I have to practice it myself to go once, if not once a year, then a few every couple or 3 years. After you do the 10-day, you're also encouraged and allowed to do a 2 or 3 day, and even volunteer, because Vipassana is
Mm.
all based on volunteers.
Mhm.
Even the tuition right now is by donation, so you kind of pay it forward. So it's on my list to go back and volunteer for at least 3, 4 days. And in those volunteering days, you have about 5 or 6 hours a day of meditation. So you can jump into the meditations as well. But yeah, I recommend everyone to have a meditation practice. I practice every day.
Yeah.
I do an hour in the morning, and I try to do maybe half an hour before going to sleep.
Is that in the
So
pod or
yeah,
just at your house or?
at my house and here at
Yeah.
the office, I'll go in for 15 minutes, kind of in the
Yeah.
middle of the day, instead of reaching for that second cup of coffee.
Right.
I'll go do some breath work to kind of get the blood flowing again. Or before a presentation or a podcast, I'll go in there. I'll go in there for a quick meditation.
Yeah. Something I found interesting, and I find this in myself a little bit too. You said you're obsessed to an OCD level with details, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
something you balance out? Because I'm like that too. And it sometimes really gets to you, right? Little things you see that some people don't.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's all. And it starts to get you over and over time. Is that something you're balancing out with meditation and just mindfulness in general? Because otherwise I could imagine for someone in your position, like lots of startups, I'm more like, there's bound to be lots of little details that just bug you. They're just out
Yeah.
of place a little bit. And,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a perfectionism standpoint, which I'm, also guilty of at times. But, I feel like people always say, let me start. People always say that perfectionism is a terrible thing. I don't find it to be a terrible thing unless it overcomes you and stops you from action, if it actually
Right.
does that.
Right.
But do you find that you could still have that OCD-like ability to pick out the details for a positive and balance it out with meditation and mindfulness?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having that obsession with details and what we call OCD is actually very helpful in certain
Hmm.
situations and certain applications and how you channel it. You know, I've learned over the years to embrace it and be able to distinguish when I'm not applying it in the right circumstance, when things really don't matter and those
Yeah.
details don't matter at all. Sometimes it's a work in progress. When I'm highly meditated, when I've got a few days in a row where my awareness is super sharp, I'm able to catch myself, uh, you know, going overboard on something that really doesn't require it.
Yeah.
But another, like you said, it's a gift.
Yes.
It's a gift. It truly is a gift.
Yeah. It eats up a lot of people, right? They get
Yeah.
very upset by it. I found I used to do that a lot too.
Yeah.
But if you don't let it eat away at you, it can absolutely be a positive thing. And that's why
Yeah.
some people, they just say, you know, they have that OCD or ability to be so detail oriented, and they're kind of taught to, you know, kind of push that down. But I don't think you ever truly are able to get rid. That's a part of you. And that's probably
Right.
a gift that you should be able to harness rather than
Exactly.
subdue. Because a lot of people I know, they're told just go for good, you know, perfection is the enemy of great. And this, you know, you're told all these things and you start to say, okay, let me just give up on it. You start to almost jade your own senses to it, which is
Right.
never a
Right.
good thing, because then you start to
Right.
lose, I feel like, this ability of who you are, this idea of authenticity.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's what you said. It's being able to harness that energy and channel it into meaningful ways, and not let it translate into paralysis and inaction or disappointment. And that takes a while. That takes years. I'm in my 40s and I'm just getting a grasp on it.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a lifelong journey. Like I say, healing
Yeah.
is a lifelong journey, because we're all always healing of something, right? We're all sort of
Yeah.
patients to anything out there in the world, and it's a lifelong journey we have to embrace and go with.